Hi, boys and girls. This week we are kind of continuing on with reading different Halloween books, and we're going to be kind of reviewing some of our different story elements, like character, setting, all of that. And let's see if I can find the poster. It's been quite a while since we had that poster. But if I can find it, yes, I found it. I think we should talk about that while we review. So, let's look at our story element poster again really quick. So, remember, these are the different parts of a story that are important. So, today I really kind of want you to think about the main character of the book, and I also want you to kind of tell me a little bit about who he is on the inside and how you can tell from some of the things that happen in the story. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to be reading the book The Halloweener. Here it is right here. So I bet you can kind of tell right off the bat who the character is, right? Is it probably an animal? Probably. Is it probably people? I don't see any people on this front cover. No. Is it probably a thing? No, I think it's probably going to be an animal. So as I'm reading, I want you to be thinking about the main character, who the story is mainly about, and think about how you would describe him. And there are different spots in the story where we might describe him as different. So you might say, oh, he's this way because of this that happened, okay? Like maybe he was angry for a little while because something happened. Or maybe he was thoughtful when something else happened. So maybe see if you can show me a time that describes why he is the way he is. Something that happened in the book that proved to you that he was that way. See if you can find that. Here we go. Let me see if I can scoot up a little bit closer for you. Okay. There once was a dog named Oscar who was half a dog tall and 1.5 dogs long. He's a long dog. Because of his unusual shape and size, all the other dogs made fun of him. Wiener dog, they called him. And Oscar did not like it one bit. Oscar's mother was no help either. Every morning when the dogs walked off to obedience school, Oscar's mother stood in the front yard waving and calling out, "Farewell, my little Vienna sausage." Oh, look at him. He's like, "Geez, mother." See? Character trait, maybe? And the other dogs laughed and laughed. So think already about how you would describe Oscar. He's the main character, isn't he? Most of the time, Oscar was upset by all this, but not today. Today was Halloween, and Oscar was thinking about other things. All day long at obedience school, Oscar daydreamed about Halloween night, trick-or-treats, and scary costumes. And there he is daydreaming. When Oscar got home, he dashed upstairs to start working on his scary Halloween costume. But when he got to his room, a surprise was waiting for him. Look how he's acting right now. "Happy Halloween, my little sausage link," said Oscar's mother. "I've made you a costume to wear for trick-or-treats." When Oscar saw the costume, he nearly fainted. What do you think it is? It was a giant hot dog bun, complete with mustard. And guess who was supposed to fit in the middle? Oscar did not want to hurt his mother's feelings, so he decided to wear the silly costume. Oh, look at him. He's giving her a kiss while he has a grouchy face. I think that could describe how Oscar is. Think about that for a little bit. That night, all the dogs on the block gathered to show off their costumes. Everyone was looking quite scary. And then Oscar showed up, looking quite frank. That's funny right there, because Frank is another word for a hot dog. When the dogs saw Oscar in his silly costume, they howled with laughter. "Look at Oscar," they cried. "He really is a wiener dog." Poor Oscar was so embarrassed. "Wiener dog," laughed the other dogs as they ran off to go trick-or-treating. Oscar tried to keep up with the dogs, but his silly costume kept slowing him down. Look at him way back here. Okay, so think about how would you describe Oscar now? What has happened, and how would you describe him? All night long, the other dogs hounded every treat they could get their paws on. Look at them. So by the time Oscar got to each house, there were no treats left. Oh, poor Oscar. Soon, trick-or-treating was over, and the dogs walked home past a spooky graveyard. Suddenly, a horrible hissing sound filled the air. Hiss! And the dogs stopped, dead in their tracks. And then, out of the graveyard rose a ghastly monster. The dogs screamed for their lives, and they dropped their treats and jumped into a nearby pond. Oh, look at the scary monster. The monster moved closer. "Please don't eat us," cried the dogs. And the monster yowled and hissed. "Boo-hoo-hoo," sobbed the dogs. And the monster jumped up and down. "Somebody save us," shrieked the dogs. Look, they're terrified. But just then, somebody showed up. It was Oscar. Because Oscar was so short, he saw something that the other dogs had not seen. "That's no monster," cried Oscar, and with a loud bark, Oscar waddled to the rescue. Can you tell who's under there? Can you tell? Oscar chomped and tugged with all his might. Think about what Oscar's doing right now. How does that describe who he is? Rip! And there, standing in the moonlight, were a couple of ornery cats. "Help!" cried the cats. "We're being attacked by a giant frankfurter." That's another word for a hot dog. And they ran off screaming through the graveyard. This book is reminding me a little bit of Big Al. He was teased, right? But then he ended up saving the day. It's a lot like that book, isn't it? The dogs in the pond had seen the whole thing, and now it was their turn to be embarrassed. "We've been chased into a pond by a couple of cats," they moaned. But Oscar was a true friend. He leaped into the water and swam out to the dogs. Oscar's silly costume made a wonderful life raft, and the dogs climbed up. "All aboard," Oscar called, and he dog paddled back to shore. Look at him. And see, this is showing who he is also. Even though these dogs picked on him, look how he's behaving. When they got back to dry land, all the dogs shared their Halloween treats with Oscar. Because Oscar had been so brave, the dogs changed his nickname from Wiener Dog to Hero Sandwich. And from that night on, nobody ever made fun of Oscar again. Happy Halloween! Good, so remember, your job is to think about Oscar, the main character, and maybe how you would describe him. And tell me what made you think that. Something in the story is making you think that he is a certain way, okay? I hope you liked the book.